Do you believe you can work less and achieve more? Hey, before we dive into today's podcast, I just wanted to send you a gentle reminder that this is your last and final call to fill out the Mastery Coaching Program application. If you haven't already, head on over to momisincontrol.com and do so now. On June 2nd, we will be switching over to the waitlist, and we will let you know when we open again soon. Also, if you are sitting on the fence and you're not too sure if Mastery is for you, I'm hosting this Thursday a live information session over on Facebook. So you can go to momisincontrol.com/FB for my Facebook fan page, and you'll check out the information for the event over there. During the information session, I'm going to be talking about the core challenges that modern women are facing while raising their family, why I think it's essential that we really look at ourselves first in parenting, even if our children are struggling, and how to overcome fear and self-doubt when you're ready for change and transformation. So you have two options right now. Either head on over to momisincontrol.com and fill out the application if you've been sitting on the fence, or go check out my Facebook fan page. It's Heather Chauvin, and there is an event on that page on this Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be hosting a live information session over on that page. So if you can't join live, no big deal. You can definitely head on over there after and watch the replay. The applications will be closing this Sunday, June 2nd. We're already into June. Where is time gone? So head on over to momisincontrol.com and fill yours out today. Hey ladies, I'm back, and today I have a really special podcast interview for you with my dear friend, Cailen Ascher. I've had Cailen come into my Mastery and Soul Elite coaching programs and teach my women how to achieve more by working less. And I'll talk a little bit about that today, what that means, and we'll dive into the interview. And I've also gone into Cailen's group, and it's so beautiful when you get to meet other women who are on a similar mission as you, which is making people's lives easier, more in alignment, abundance, ease, all of that fun stuff, but really unpacking this, because I'm all about helping you realize that, yes, there's a lot of bullshit out there, right? People are sold a lot of bullshit. I'm not going to lie. And then I'm such a hypocrite, not a hypocrite. Oh God, what am I trying to say? I'm one of those people that's always skeptical. That's what I'm trying to say. Skeptical of what are you trying to sell? What is this? Is this hocus pocus? Does this actually really work? How is this going to be effective in my life, in my business, with my mission? Now, not everyone wants to work 3 days. Some people enjoy working 5 days. But the essence here is it in alignment for you? Can you save time? Can you save energy? Can you work more productively? Can you work smarter, not harder? And regardless if you're working or not, as human beings, we are all doing some type of work and contribution in the world. So the work that we're doing in the world, whether it's at home or whether it's somewhere else, we're doing something. We're always contributing in some way, whether you are mastering, running a kick-ass house, or you're mastering running a kick-ass business, you are contributing in some way. We are all working towards something. So there's ways that we can do it effectively. There's ways that we can do it more productively. There's ways that we can do it where we feel in alignment. And one of the one of the things I often receive from women is, I'm overwhelmed. There's so much to do on my plate. I can't get it all done. And I used to feel that way because it's a belief, it's a mindset, it's a default system that so many fall into. And I see people from all walks of life do this, not just, women who work from home or women who are taking care of children. I'm seeing this from corporate CEOs and executives. I'm seeing this from people who work 9-to-5 jobs and are like, I don't need to be here for 8 hours a day, but my boss doesn't understand that. So if you've also listened to the interview I did with Kate Northrup, you'll understand there is this movement of do less. And it's not about doing less and sitting around the pool all day. It is about being intentional. Like, what are my goals? What am I working towards? What do I want my days to look like? And setting your days up in alignment with that. We need to look at our emotional intelligence. We need to look at our big emotions. We need to look at our people pleasing. Why am I trying to always try to please other people and putting my own health at risk? Why am I putting myself on the back burner? So when you're finding yourself feeling overwhelmed and stuck and going, oh my gosh, I can't figure this out, understand that sometimes a really uncomfortable conversation can make magic happen and set you in the right direction in your life. So I'm really excited to share today's podcast with you, Miss Cailen Ascher. Check her out. Her website is in the show notes, but you can also check it out at cailenascher.com. So head on over to her website, click on the free 3-day work week schedule. It was a game changer and transformational for me and really helped me align my time and my energy. So this is the beauty of collaborating with like-minded women. We are all here to support one another. So excited to hear what you think about today's episode. Let's dive in. 3-day work week.
Yes.
Is this actually possible? Says every woman in the entire universe. And here you are saying it is.
Yes, it completely is. And I don't know if I would believe it either if I hadn't been living it for the last, 5 years now, going on 5 years. But yes, it's completely possible. And I think it's especially possible for mothers because we already are so adept at managing time and schedules and getting so much done in like limited windows of time that putting this strategically to work for you is something you can definitely make happen and grow your income while you're doing it, which is just really cool. I love helping women do that.
You know what I find interesting? I was speaking, this is a long time ago. There was like a gentleman, a colleague, and he's like, women make the best entrepreneurs, like the best business owners because they can multitask. And I'm not one for multitasking. I actually think that's a myth. And, then you're putting like shit quality into all your tasks. So I like to focus and be, very deliberate and strategic with your time and your energy. But this is the thing. I personally, my Mondays and Fridays are like off. Like I don't put anything in those calendars unless, something slips in there. But I will tell you, the old me, the hustler, the go, 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 need to do more, to make more, to live more. Live more. You actually live the opposite. But I realized, there's no creative energy there. There's no creative flow. And when you don't have that, you're not going to attract what you want in your life. So how has, this mindset of like time for dollars, how do you see women especially really still living into that? Like, oh, I need to work more to make more. And you're like, no, you don't. What do you notice with the resistance of that?
Yeah. I think the resistance piece comes up because they're not seeing the value of their time. And when we really look at the value of our time and how limited and precious it is, we can get to this place where we feel a lot more confident in setting boundaries around it. I think many of us, we give a lot. We're used to giving. Our kids need stuff. Our spouse needs stuff. Like our community, like we're just in that mode. And so then when we think about starting a business or have started a business, we're still in that giving mode where it's like, oh, I'll do this for cheap, or I'll do this for free, or I'll just say yes to everything. And it's really a reprogramming to start thinking about protecting your time. And something that I talk to a lot of my women about is thinking about all that has come into you being in this moment in your life or in your business if you're a business owner, like all of the experiences, all of the certifications, all of the education, all of the things that you have invested time and money into for you to show up in the way that you're showing up. it's like, of course that's worth something, and it's worth a lot. And until you get to that place of really owning that and standing in that, when you are asking for money, that value for value exchange, it is challenging to really make an abundant income with limited hours. But that's something, I work with my clients on, is getting them vibing at that place where they're like, yes, I own this, and I'm ready to command the value for my valuable time.
I like how you say command. I think that's really, really important. I will never forget the moment when I just made a commitment to success. Like, failure is not an option here.
Yes.
It's not something, it's just not an option. You fall down 8 times, you get up 9 times. Like, I will not fail. I don't actually believe in failure. I really don't. I just think everything's an experiment. It doesn't work. You try it again. Kid doesn't eat that food. Great. Try this. Didn't work. Okay. Now what do we do? How do you get your shoes on? This strategy worked. Oh, that strategy didn't work. Like, everything is, you course correct. It's experiment. But you started smiling when I said, like, I made a commitment to success.
Yeah, it's funny because I had a very definitive moment as well. And then you said the whole failure thing. And I say that all the time. I'm like, I don't believe in failure. I think you can give up on something. You can let quote unquote failure happen to you, but it's essentially just deciding not to get up again, like you said. But no, I remember I had this moment, and at the time my husband and I were newly married. We're living in this tiny cottage and I actually got fired from a job that I had. And it was a good gig. Like, it was flexible work hours, work from home, more project based. And I'm a good employee and I'm a good student. And I found myself getting fired, and I was just like, okay, universe, I got it. No more of this crap of these bridge jobs and these security blankets. This is me committing to being, and at the time I was making $10,000 a year in my business. I was not ready for this, but it was just this moment where I'm like, all right, no going back. The bridge has burned. The boats are gone. I'm here. I'm just going to show up. And that was, I'd say, the seed planted in that moment. And then there were a few more iterations for me to really step into the place where I'm at now. But that was definitely a really defining moment, memorable moment for me.
So I'm curious, what's your relationship with fear?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. No one has ever asked me that. I think I have a pretty healthy relationship with fear. I've been an entrepreneur ever since I graduated college. I never intended to get that kind of safety net job that I was just describing, hence why it was taken away from me. I don't think I really experience fear. I don't call it that. When something presents itself, it's exciting, or it's stirring up those feelings that other people might label as fear, but I'm seeing them as something to lean into, not run away from.
So we were having this conversation before we hit record about, what did we call it? Or will you call it an energetic up level or something? And then
yeah.
So here's the thing. People don't like being uncomfortable. That's why they don't work out. That's why they don't eat healthy consistently. Anything that's uncomfortable, we want to find a coping strategy. And oh gosh, we all have coping strategies. Not saying that, there's a breed of people that don't out there, but there is this space where you can tell when you are intuitively connected to yourself, I am up leveling. Mm-hmm. Oh shit. Hang on to the roller coaster. I'm going to the next level. Can you explain that process for you and how it's happening? When you say it pops or you pop through to the next side, how do you know this up level is happening?
Yeah. So for me, it's intuitive, it's energetic. So I'll do my best to kind of put words around it. So for me in my business, I've been making around the same amount for the last 3 years, which is fine. It's an amazing amount of money to make considering I work 15 hours a week. But I'm pretty sure I was stuck in a belief pattern that was capping me of like, oh, well, because of my 3-day work week, because I only work 15 hours, like this is where my income is. And I could feel and it's been a while. It's probably been since like the fall. So a good like 8 months or so, been feeling that something needs to give in order for me to jump to the next level in my business, in my income, in my impact, all of those things. And I wasn't sure exactly what needed to happen or what I needed to do. So I doubled down on what I know supports me, making sure I get my daily meditation, my daily yoga, reading the books that have served me in the past, looking for new inspiring things to listen to or read, connecting with the right women and the right teachers, just planting the seeds in as many places as I could to make space for what needed to come through. And it's been in just the last couple of weeks and I would never have been able to plan this, right? But it was just because I was open to it, where I emailed a past client and she emailed me back saying all these beautiful things had been happening for her. And then she connected me with a woman who now I'm working with, and things have started transitioning for me. And I didn't get in touch with her because I was looking for her support in that way or being connected. I didn't even know this woman had existed prior to this interaction with her. And then that was just enough for this to kind of break through. And I can just feel that beliefs that were limiting me are dropping away. And actions that I needed to take or was postponing of like, oh, I'll do that when I get to this place or do this thing or make this amount of money, are just becoming possible of like, I'm just going to go do that now. Like this is just happening now. And I'm really owning it, which feels natural right now, which before it would have felt like a stretch or out of my realm of possibility. And now it's just sort of like, oh yeah, this is happening. This is the deal. This is where I'm going. This is who I need to be. And I'm showing up in a different way for it. So that's my very personal journey in response to your question. Hopefully that was useful.
I'm all about personal.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So this is the thing, like, how do you explain to someone like energy manipulation, like understanding energy? So too often when I'm working with people, they're like, this is what's going on. And I'm like, well, this is what's happening. Like I can see the energies. It's probably just part of my thing, but I can see it. I can feel it. I can, empaths, you can feel the energy in other people, but it's like, what does that mean to actually feel the energy? And then I'll circle this back to like, 3-day work week and all of that. Mm-hmm. But how do you think that shows up for women in the areas of success, in the areas of parenting, in the areas of being a wife, a friend, whatever?
In terms of them not being in touch with that?
Like the importance of understanding energy and being able to feel it and knowing the process of transformation energetically.
Yeah. So for a long time, I didn't understand it. And when people talk to me, be like, oh, well, the feminine approach to business or bringing in like feminine energy or find your flow. I was like, give me strategies, help me make money. I don't want to hear this. This isn't helpful to me. That was my headspace back then. This was before I was making money, go figure. And
before I was making money. I love that. Don't tell me what to do in your ways.
Yeah.
I know better over here.
Yeah. It was like, I can just work my head through this. I can figure this out instead of feel this out. And I think so many of us are in that place where we're smart women and we've used our heads to get to some really amazing places in our life. Probably many of us were straight A students in school and could use our brains to, rise to the top of our class and be seen as that star student and all of that stuff. And we've sort of proven to ourselves that, just hustle, push, do the work, and you can get there. And then you get to this place where you've been doing that for so long that you get tired and you're realizing like, this doesn't feel good anymore. I don't want to be in this space. And so for me, and really it was unlocked by becoming a mom and a mom to 2 girls, I gave myself permission to lean into the energy piece a little bit more. And that's why I stepped into my 3-day work week was after my first daughter was born. And so I started listening like, okay, well, what would really feel good? I'm like, you know what would feel good? A 3-day work week, not a 5-day work week. I want extra time with my baby daughter and my husband. And it's like, okay, well, what would feel good in terms of support? It's like, okay, I want someone to clean my house so I don't have to take time out of those 3 days to clean. Plus, I know someone will do it better than I will anyway. And, I started getting the support that I needed. When I got in touch with my energy, I started living my life more on my own terms, and I started making a hell of a lot more money in my business because I was offloading so much of that stuff I was carrying around.
I love this. I remember the first time I had a Reiki session, like a Reiki attunement. And then if you're into the energy worlds, I got Reiki 1 certified, and I remember like feeling energy, and they're like, can you feel that? Can you feel that? And I was like, yeah, I can feel that. And going home and realizing that I was energy. My child was energy. Everything was energy. And my child already knew it. They were like, oh yeah. Like they were doing Reiki on the plants and everything. and I just saw the world differently. It's like time is energy. Money is energy. It's currency. That's all it is. And we have put this belief and story on how much value you're supposed to get for $5,000 or whatever. Yeah. And it's all energy. So what is the first, like, tell me about some of the rebuttals you get about the 3-day work week.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, well, I won't be able to make enough money, right? Or I won't be able to work with enough clients to make the money. That they won't be organized enough to get everything done that they need to get done. Or even if they like set aside the time, they don't know what to focus on during that time. So a lot of it is like all those logistical pieces of like, how do I actually make this work? They want to know the how immediately.
Yeah. And do you notice that sometimes the belief or story gets in the way? Like, I can't. And you're like, you can. I will show you. Nope, it's impossible.
Yeah.
You're like, be open, right? Be open. So have you ever helped? Because this is a question I was, I'm sure, I think her interview goes out before yours, Debs, but I interviewed Kate Northrup for Do Less.
I have that book sitting on my nightstand.
It's amazing. And I'm sure that would be right up your alley because it's all about that. So we chatted and I asked her, can you do less in corporate? So have you had this experience like one-on-one with clients where they're not business owners and they're working in corporate?
I've had a couple. I mean, my zone of genius I'm recognizing is working with those women who are building businesses, but in terms of how to make more use, to make higher and better use of your time, I think that's a conversation you can have with anybody.
The interesting part is I have a few ladies in corporate or their employees, not so much like corporate, but they're working from home. And I noticed there's a lot of fear around how can I work less, be more productive, and pitch this to my boss? And I asked Kate that question, and she said in like chapter 1, there was all this research, right? Like after 4 hours, you're not really productive. But yet culturally, the 9 to 5, right? Like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., we've been ingrained and drilled that if you work 9 to 5, like that's what needs to happen. And I will never forget, this is how I know I was destined to be an entrepreneur. When I was younger, anytime I had a job and I was working like 9 to 5 or like, 8 hours, I'm like, guys, why am I standing here for 3 hours twiddling my thumbs? Like, please let me go home. I am literally wasting my life right now. Wasting my life. This is not productive. So what do you think? Do you see a movement? Do you think there's a movement of women really owning their productivity, owning their power, and taking back control of their time?
That's who I find joining me in my community are women who are like, I'm tired of doing it according to other people's schedule, agendas, standards, and I'm ready to create something that feels like mine, success on my terms. And so that's something we have a conversation about really early on. It's like, what does success even look like for you? Because so many of us have been taught, oh, well, you get your 9-to-5 job and you hopefully, rise up through the ranks eventually so you can make enough money to support an okay lifestyle and then retire with just enough money. Like we've been given this version of success that so many women I talk to, I'm like, okay, well, what is your vision for your life, for your business? That sometimes they're not even really tuned into it. They're like, well, they know it's a little better than what they have, but they're not allowing themselves permission to really think beyond sort of the bubble they've been exposed to. But more and more in the conversations that I'm having with women and those ladies who join my community, they are feeling ready. They're like, yeah, this would feel awesome to have a 3-day work week or to work, 4 days a week while my kids are at school, or to be able to build up something so I can step back from my full-time job. Or moms I get a lot of mothers who have new babies and they're realizing they don't want to return to work after maternity leave. And they're like, I don't know, I feel like I'm stuck. Like I need to go back to make the money, but I don't want to be away from my baby. And this gives them, first and foremost, a glimmer of hope that something else is possible. And then as they step into it, they see that there's a real strategy, a real framework here to help them create that business and that life that they want while honoring the time that they choose to put into it.
So after, I like that, honoring the time that they choose to put into it. Mm-hmm. So when you cut down a 40-hour work week into, you said 15 hours, 15, 20 hours?
Yeah, 15 to 20.
Okay. So you're not hustling for, 3 days straight. It's like 5 hours a day.
Yeah.
What is essentially the tool? What are the skills that you need to develop in order to maintain that?
I think one of the most important things to recognize is that, I did sort of make an abrupt cut where I was working long hours. I had a baby, and then I'm only going back 3 days a week. I think for most of us, the healthier, more sustainable doorway in is an incremental upgrade. So if you're currently working, whether it's on your business or a full-time job or whatever, 40 plus hours a week, we probably can't immediately cut it down to 15. That is going to throw you for a loop and just take you in all kinds of negative places. So what would feel like an incremental upgrade? Maybe it would be asking if you could work from home on Fridays. Maybe it would be doing a half day on Fridays. Maybe if you work for yourself, it would be having, working 9 to 3 every day instead of 9 to 4 or 5 or whatever your work hours currently are. Like stepping in the direction of what you want and not jumping there, because that's where you can kind of find your footing. And then as that's working, make another incremental upgrade and another one. And this honestly is the tool I've used since stepping into my 3-day work week to grow my business. Because if I had immediately, I'm like cutting back my working hours, I'm going to hire, I've got 3 team members now. If I tried to do all of that at once, it would have fallen apart. But because I stepped into it moment by moment, kind of recognizing a need and addressing it and making the next best choice, it's become something that felt effortless and easy and natural. And I think ideally that's what most of us want to feel on our journey of not being the rug ripped out from underneath us, but this nice progression towards what we want.
I think the word you're trying to find is sustainable.
Sustainable.
Mm-hmm. It's not the get 6-pack abs in 30 days model.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So this is interesting because as you're talking, I'm filtering it through what I've been talking about on the podcast and putting connections and parallels together. So food and fitness, which I'm not an expert in, but I've been talking a lot about it just because of my own journey. And it's all about consistency and being 1 degree better than yesterday. Mm-hmm. And so just because, and I'm curious your perspective on this, because like you said, you need to have a vision for success. Like you need to know what you want and you need to be pretty clear on it, because if you're not crystal clear, somebody, the universe is going to be like, does she want this or does she want this? Like, I don't know. And you're going to be scattered. So once you have this clear vision of the life that you want to be living, and for now, we'll just say the days you want to be working, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The next step is to take action. What is your perspective on action and how you, like the tasks that you actually put on your to-do list?
Yeah, I think one of the most useful things you can do at that point, when you're looking at the time that you've allotted to work on your business or work on that project, whatever it is you've set time aside for, is to do an inventory or an audit of how you're currently using your time. So before you step into that, like do a check with some awareness of what are you currently making time for, what responsibilities, priorities are on your calendar on a regular basis, what are the things you need to do for your work or for your business, and see how much time you're currently using for that. And then to add another layer, what I like to do then is look and ask myself, am I good at this? Do I enjoy this? Because when I first moved into my 3-day work week, I did this and I was like, okay, so this is the stuff that needs to get done, but look at how much of it I'm not particularly good at and I don't really enjoy. And that made it so easy to think about bringing on someone. And at the time I hired my VA, my virtual assistant, for just like, I think it was 5 to 10 hours a month. Like it was so small, but it was an incremental upgrade. It gave me a place to start, and I was able to hand her very clearly a set of things to do because I saw that they were taking up my valuable time and it wasn't a good use of my time. And so I think that's a really natural way into this, of just kind of being a witness of how you're currently spending your time and how you can offload or just remove some of those things that don't need to be there for you.
Okay, now I like asking uncomfortable questions. The deep, uncomfortable questions. You're like, shit.
All right, I'm ready.
Did you think this was going to be a left brain conversation?
No, I came ready. I came prepared.
Okay. What? You've created your 3-day work week. Do you ever feel guilty for the additional time that you have and the income that you make?
No, I don't. Maybe I will now. Heather's planted the seed. No, I don't.
I'm just curious your relationship with guilt.
Yeah, no, that's not a big piece for me. The business and guilt has not ever been a big factor. Being a mother has exposed me to guilt on a whole different level that I did not know I was capable of, because it was never a huge factor for me. I always, on some level, had a sense of my self-worth. I wasn't always maybe aligned with it, obvious, or something was out of place, right? Because I wasn't making the money I wanted to be making, but I always had a sense of my self-worth. And so, no, the guilt piece isn't there with, because I'm probably working more, honestly, in the hours that I'm being a mom and stuff, but it's feeling like an adequate compensation for my time at this point. And I think that's part of something that we really have to factor in when we're women in business is finding what the package is, what the price point is that really resonates, so we do feel that we're being adequately compensated. Because either if it's too much, like if you're trying to charge too much, then you kind of feel guilty, and if you're not charging enough, you feel resentful. And so you have to find that sweet spot, and it expands, it grows with you.
So let's talk about pricing for a second. Mm-hmm. I know for me, let's go back. I'm going to go back to guilt for a little bit. I used to feel guilty all the time working. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of women feel like this, even if it's like an hour. So this whole, I knew I didn't want to be a full-time stay at home. Like there was a passion inside of me that I wanted to do, but I didn't work outside of the home. So I worked from home. So everyone's like, well, if you work from home, like, are you really working? Like there's just weird mentalness, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to have really, really good boundaries. But example, if something's going on with the kids at school, I can clear my schedule. I'll try to make that happen. But for some reason, if something popped up, I'm like, I'm not going to rearrange my whole schedule if it was last minute, if I can't, right? So then I always feel guilty when I can't be there, but I just don't let it run the show.
Yeah.
I'm like, it is what it is, but children are really, really good at that. And then I have to ask myself, if I don't work right now, am I going to be resentful at my children? Right? Some people are like, I got to take the summer off because the kids are home. I'm like, but is that what you want to do? Or is that what you feel like you have to do? Like, do you want to be with your children? Do you not want to work in the summer? That's great, right? Like creating the space. But again, I think it goes back to like, what do you want?
Yeah. Underneath it all, defining that for yourself and getting really clear on it. And sometimes you'll be really dead set thinking that you want this thing. And sometimes it takes living it to realize, oh, wait, that's not what I really wanted. Or it didn't deliver the level of satisfaction I was thinking that it would. And I mean, that's one of the cool things about being on this journey, right? Like you said, everything's an experiment. Like if you come at it with that approach, you just give yourself more permission to roll with the punches as they come, which is important.
I think when you embody, I'm just going to test this out. I'm going to test it. I don't care how many people I listen to. They're like, you got to test it. You got to test it. You got to test it. And then still you're like, oh, I got to be a perfectionist about this. I need that perfect blueprint. And I'm like, okay, go find that. Go find that. Oh, heck. Let's talk about women and money. Let's just go there.
Sure.
And then we'll wrap it up.
Sounds good. A specific question, or should I just start?
I'm curious your thoughts on women and money.
I have so many conversations with women in my business as a coach, and it's such a triggering subject for so many, even women who are making great money, who maybe, are in their full-time job, and they're wanting to work with a coach to kind of transition out of that into their business. Like there's still so much stuff that comes up for them. And for me personally, I realize how much work I need to do on a consistent basis so that I can remove through those conversations relatively unscathed, because otherwise their stuff will show up and stick to me. But if I'm vibing at a good place, then I can hold the space for what they need without it becoming anything that relates to me. But I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier, is that we have so many storylines and histories with money. But when we can start just seeing it as energy, as neutral, if we can really wrap our heads around, maybe we can't feel it right away, but wrap our heads around that money is neutral, and anything that we see in it or experience from it, it's all because of what we're projecting. It sort of gives us permission to redefine that story. I often share with the women I work with, like, if money were a person, if money were personified, what would your relationship be like with that person? Would it be like your girlfriend that you love hanging out with and she brings out the best in you and you have the best time together and you love doing lunch dates and you have a blast together? Or would it be that like weird neighbor that you avoid in the grocery store and you're like ducking into the next aisle? Like, what is this relationship? And it can almost be comical when we start thinking about, oh yeah, like I talk crap about money all the time. Like I complain about it. I'm scared of it. There's tons of like weird anxiety wrapped up in it. Like if we think about it, if that was a person in our life, what would we expect when we interacted with them? Would we expect them to shower us with like love and generosity and abundance and good feelings? Or would we expect to get like weird, uncomfortable, crappy feelings because that's what we're showing up with? And so I think that's kind of a fun starting place, instead of getting all heavy about it. Like, how can we make money more fun and improve our relationship with it?
Yeah. At the core of it, which I never realized until I started doing the work was that everything is a relationship. Like even if we did that to time, circling back to the 3-day work week, if we did that to time, what is your relationship to time? Like, how do you treat it? Are you, hey, how are you today? Are you like, get the fuck away from me? There's not enough of you. You've never been good enough for me. You know, like, how are we treating that? And realizing that everything is energy. And what we put out, we will get back. So if we're getting shit back, we have to ask ourselves, like, what is the energy we're putting out there?
Exactly.
So Cailen, you are a magical unicorn. And I love what you've created, not just because it's a 3-day work week and it's really showing women, you know, you can be the mom, you can create the family space that you want and, you know, create a business model that's sustainable. But I think it goes into this deeper conversation of empowering women to create lives that fill them up.
Yes. Yeah, that's something that, and I won't go into my entrepreneurial journey of all the businesses that I've had up until this point. But that was a common thread through every single business I've had, everything I tried my hand at, trying to get to this place where I was truly making an impact, was I wanted to help women live beautiful lives. And I'm realizing now I couldn't fully own that space until I lived it. And that's the case for all things. But now it's such a privilege to be able to be an example of what's possible and then leave the trail of breadcrumbs behind me as I'm like holding their hands and walking with them, like to help women do the same, because I think it's so important to define what you want and go after it and not just live by default or by someone else's decision.
Amen. Yeah. We'll leave it there. So where can people find you? You said you have a freebie for them.
Yes, of course. So on my website, which is CailenAscher.com, right on the homepage, you can get my 3-day workweek schedule. It gives you an hour-by-hour breakdown of my 3-day workweek if you're super curious about what I spend my time doing. And there's also a template for you to start drafting your own ideal workweek too.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Heather.